It began like any other December morning in London, 1952. A strange, greasy, yellow-brown fog crept through the streets, heavy with sulfur and coal smoke. By midday, the sun was just a pale disk, and the city was vanishing. The fog was so thick, people couldn't see their own feet. Familiar sounds faded, muffled by the dense air. Pedestrians shuffled, hands outstretched, feeling for walls and lampposts. The fog seeped into homes, cinemas, and shops, filling them with its acrid stench. People began to cough, a dry, hacking sound that became the city's grim soundtrack. Conductors walked in front of buses with torches, but soon even that was impossible. London ground to a halt, swallowed by a toxic cloud. Visibility dropped to inches. People described feeling blindfolded. The air was something you could taste and almost chew, leaving an oily film on every surface. A simple walk became perilous. Children sent home from school became lost in the blinding smog. Landmarks like Big Ben and St. Paul's Cathedral vanished. London became a series of isolated islands of terrified people. The first day brought confusion and inconvenience, but no one understood the true danger. Jokes about Christmas shopping faded as unease settled over the city. The fog grew thicker, heavier, and more poisonous with every hour. The city was being held hostage by its own air. The first victims were already struggling for breath. The 5-day nightmare had just begun. London was about to face a disaster unlike any in its history. Londoners were used to fog. Pea supers were part of the city's identity, romanticized in literature and accepted as a nuisance. But this time, the fog was a monster. Over 5 days, the toxic smog paralyzed the city and claimed thousands of lives. Initial estimates put the death toll at 4,000, but modern research suggests up to 12,000. Tens of thousands more suffered lasting respiratory illnesses. This was not just weather. It was one of the worst environmental disasters in modern history. The Great Smog was a brutal wake-up call, revealing the deadly truth about the air Londoners breathed. Coal, the city's lifeblood, had become a chemical weapon in the sky. The government's denial and inaction sparked public outrage. The events of those 5 days would forever change Britain, leading to landmark legislation and the beginning of cleaner air. The romantic notion of London fog died, replaced by the reality of its lethal power. To understand the Great Smog, you must understand post-war London, powered by coal. High-quality coal was exported. Londoners burned cheap, sulfur-rich, nutty slack. Millions of homes and factories pumped thick, black smoke into the air. The city's atmosphere was a constant haze of soot and sulfur. Pea supers were a regular feature, a mix of river mist and pollution. Londoners accepted the smell of sulfur and layers of soot as the price of progress. Few connected the air they breathed to their health. Chronic bronchitis was rampant, but seen as normal. London's geography, a basin, trapped pollution during certain weather. For decades, this created unpleasant but seemingly harmless smogs. In December 1952, all these factors combined in a way no one had seen before. The normal state of affairs was about to become a state of emergency. The Great Smog was the result of a deadly combination of conditions. An anticyclone settled over London, trapping cold air and pollution beneath a lid of warm air. A temperature inversion. With no wind, pollution from coal fires and factories had nowhere to go. Every day, thousands of tons of smoke and sulfur dioxide filled the air. The fog's water droplets allowed sulfur dioxide to dissolve and oxidize, forming sulfuric acid. The result, a corrosive acid aerosol. Hanging in the air, millions breathed. This acidic mist inflamed lungs and airways, making it hard to breathe. For the elderly, young, and those with health issues, it was deadly. The perfect storm had turned London's air into a weapon. The city was suffocating in its own pollution. Daily life became a surreal nightmare. The smog seeped into homes, leaving a greasy film on everything. The smell was inescapable, rotten eggs and coal smoke. People tried to seal their homes, but it was futile. Public transport stopped, buses were abandoned. The underground was overcrowded, the only way to travel. On the streets, people shuffled blindly, faces covered with scarves. Crime flourished in the darkness. Social events were cancelled. Cinemas and theaters closed as smog-filled auditoriums. Even animals suffered. Cattle died at agricultural shows. Birds fell from the sky. Ambulances struggled to reach the sick, often guided by someone walking ahead with a flashlight. Response times stretched into hours. For many, the delay was fatal. Hospitals were overwhelmed, the smog filling wards and worsening conditions. The city was paralyzed, and fear spread as the days dragged on. Londoners realized they were trapped in a disaster with no escape. As the smog tightened its grip, the death toll soared. The most vulnerable, elderly, infants, and those with respiratory problems were the first to die. People died quietly in their homes from respiratory failure or heart attacks. Undertakers ran out of coffins. Florists ran out of flowers. The death rate more than doubled. A silent massacre. Eyewitnesses described the air as something you could feel and taste. Survivors recalled returning home with faces blackened by soot. The scale of the disaster became clear only when mortality statistics were compiled. Deaths soared by thousands, rivaling the worst weeks of the Blitz. The killer was not bombs, but the very air. The smog entered every home, rich or poor. No one was truly safe. The deaths were quiet and suffocating. People simply stopped breathing. London was choking on its own success. When the fog lifted, the government's response was slow and dismissive. Officials blamed influenza, unwilling to admit the air had become a killer. But the public wasn't fooled. Stories from doctors and undertakers spread. Deaths from bronchitis and pneumonia soared. Heart disease deaths doubled. The press coined the term Great Smog, and public anger grew. Modern studies estimate up to 12,000 premature deaths. Many survivors suffered years of illness from damaged lungs. The government, under pressure, launched an investigation. The Beaver Committee confirmed the smog's deadly toll and blamed coal burning. Their findings paved the way for radical change in public policy. The Great Smog was a tragedy, but it forced change. Public outcry and damning reports led to the Clean Air Act of 1956. The act created smoke control areas and banned coal burning in homes. People switched to cleaner fuels. Factories faced new emission controls. Power stations built taller chimneys to disperse pollutants. The city's buildings were cleaned, revealing their original beauty. Public health improved. Deadly fogs became a thing of the past. The act saved tens of thousands of lives in the decades that followed. The 5 dark days of 1952 sparked a revolution in environmental policy. London became cleaner, healthier, and safer for future generations. The disaster had forced Britain to rethink its relationship with the air. The Great Smog stands as a powerful lesson from history. It showed that invisible threats in our environment can be as deadly as war. The smog was a man-made catastrophe, born from choices about progress. London's tragedy had a global impact, inspiring environmental movements worldwide. The Clean Air Act became a model for other countries. Today, London's air is far cleaner, but new pollution threats remain. The challenge of balancing progress with a healthy environment is ongoing. The story of the Great Smog is a warning. We cannot take clean air for granted. Public pressure and political will can drive transformative change. Ignoring environmental warning signs comes at a devastating human cost.